The economic team of President-elect Bongbong Marcos is starting to take shape as the camp nominates BSP Governor Ben Diokno to head the finance department. 55 party list groups will take their seat in the 19th Congress after today's proclamation at the PICC in Pasay City. The health department has started designated facilities to be used as isolation venues for patients that contract the rare viral infection called monkeypox. And Philippine cinema icon Susan Roses has been laid to rest over at the Manila North Cemetery. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. The COMELEC has proclaimed 55 winning party list groups that will form part of the 19th Congress. Let's get more details from Greg Gregorio, who joins us live from Pasay. Hi, Greg. What's going on there?
Hi, Sean. The Commission on Elections, sitting as the National Board of Canvassers, has finally proclaimed all of the winning party list groups in the 2022 elections following yesterday's completion of the canvassing with 173 certificates of canvass. 55 party list groups were proclaimed today, of which only the ACT-CIS got 3 seats with their votes totaling to about 2.1 million. The next seats are the next party list groups who got 2 seats respectively are One Rider PL, Tingog, 4 Peace, Ako, Bicol, and Sagip. Apart from that, the 7th to the 55th party list groups who were proclaimed got 1 seat respectively. This includes Alona, Philreca, BISOA, Manila Teachers Patrol, and others. For those who got 1 congressional seat were the first ones to be proclaimed. While this also includes the Kabataan Party List in Gabriela, even as they still have pending cases as filed by NTF-ELCAC. After them, those who were proclaimed were party list groups with 2 seats allocation. And then the last one was ACT-CIS with the most number of votes and 3 seat allocation. Aside from the nominees and representative of party list groups, also present in today's proclamation were former Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles accompanying his sibling PBA party list nominee Margarita Nograles. Also here was Senator Bong Revilla, who accompanied his son Brian Revilla, who is a nominee of Agimat party list. And Senator-elect Raffy Tulfo was also here as a support to his wife, Representative Jocelyn Tulfo of the ACT-CIS. Sean, though the total number of available seats in the Congress for party list groups is 63, the 55 party list groups proclaimed today was only for the 62 seats. The other seat, or the remaining seat, was supposed to be for the United Senior Citizens party list, who got enough number of votes to be proclaimed. They still have a pending motion for reconsideration before the COMELEC. Thus, the Commission opted not to proclaim this particular party list groups unless the case will be resolved. Sean?
All right, thank you so much for those updates. Greg Gregorio reporting to us live from Pasay City. Thanks, Greg. Members of the Makabayan Bloc will continue to push for their advocacies despite getting only 3 seats in the incoming 19th Congress. Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Zarate told Radio 5, constant red tagging against their group affected their chances in this year's elections. Out of the Makabayan Bloc, only Kabataan, ACT Teachers, and Gabriela were able to secure seats in the next Congress.
They will have the privilege, itong mga kasamahan natin, na dadalhin yung torch, no, for new politics at yung mga advocacies pa rin natin dyan sa loob ng Kongreso. No? At kami naman, habang nasa labas, ay tutulong pa rin kami, no? Doon sa paghahain nga natin itong mga reforma na gusto nating mangyari sa loob man at labas ng Kongreso man.
And more individuals have accepted the offer to be part of President-elect Bongbong Marcos's cabinet. Gerard de la Peña with the report.
President-elect Bongbong Marcos has named another key member to his economic team. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Benjamin Diokno on Thursday accepted the offer to be the next finance chief. Prior to his role as central bank chief, Diokno previously served as budget secretary for the Duterte administration and before that for the Estrada administration.
I'm committed to observe continuity of sound macro and fiscal policies that have helped position the Philippines among the most resilient emerging economies in the world.
To ensure continuity, Diokno says he will keep most of the DOF undersecretaries. Meanwhile, Monetary Board member Felipe Medalla will complete Diokno's unexpired term at the BSP, which is until July next year. Medalla was also the Director General of NEDA during the Estrada presidency. Former President Noynoy Aquino's NEDA chief Arsenio Balisacan, meanwhile, will return to the post. He is the current chairman of the Philippine Competition Commission. As for the recommendations of outgoing Finance Chief Sonny Dominguez, Diokno says it is too early to make pronouncements. The DOF recommends imposing new taxes to help the government pay off its pandemic debt.
We will certainly look at the fiscal consolidation plan. To me, the focus should really be on tax administration. Okay, and we need a lot of money to, number one, to continue our growth momentum, and secondly, to, of course, to service our higher level of public debt.
For Marcos Jr., there is a need to overhaul the country's tax system.
Now, in my discussions with our legislators yesterday, we are trying to create some fiscal space so that to reduce the load on ordinary citizens and maybe the tax law.
But one economist says the incoming administration should be cautious in imposing new taxes.
As much as possible, it's also avoiding higher taxes on the poor and the vulnerable sectors. It's preventing the hardest hit sectors from becoming worse off as a result of these higher taxes.
Other additions to the cabinet of Marcos Jr. include former University of the Philippines President Fred Pascual as Trade and Industry Secretary, SMC Tollways President and CEO Manny Bonoan as Public Works Chief, and former Davao del Norte Representative Anton Lagdameo as the Special Assistant to the President, the post previously held by Senator Bongo. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, We Are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after this quick break. Stay with us here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. President-elect Bongbong Marcos vows to defend the country's sovereignty by speaking to China or holding discussions with China with a quote, a firm voice. Taking a similar stance as that of outgoing President Rodrigo Duterte, Marcos Jr. insisted that going to war with China is the last thing we need. Marcos Jr. says that his administration will not compromise Philippines' sovereignty in any way, as it is sacred and inviolable. Chinese President Xi Jinping earlier urged the incoming president to follow through with a blueprint for friendly bilateral cooperation.
We will not allow a single square, and we even make it smaller, a single square millimeter of our maritime, coastal, and up to our 200 kilometers rights to be trampled upon. Papasok pa tayo sa gera. That's the last thing we need right now. So we have to continue to discuss with them the conflicting claims that we have with China and that China has with other members of ASEAN.
And after her proclamation on Wednesday, Vice President-elect Sara Duterte will now begin transition talks with the team of outgoing VP Leni Robredo. Marian Enriquez with the story.
A day after her inauguration as Vice President, Sara Duterte attended the oath-taking of her close ally, former President and Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, who won as Pampanga's 2nd District Representative. During the ceremony, Duterte shared a story of how she met Arroyo.
Gusto ko lang po magbigay ng trivia sa inyo kung paano ko po unang nakilala si former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Alam niyo po, noong Vice Mayor ako, pahanap niyo si Inday Sara. Utusan niyo si Inday Sara, i-welcome si Arroyo doon sa airport. So ako po yung nag-welcome kay Ma'am. Vice Mayor po ako ng Davao City noon 2007 to 2010. Tapos, sinabihan ako ng personal ni Ma'am, sabi niya, Inday Sara, sinabi ni President Arroyo, doon ka daw sumakay sa kanyang sasakyan.
The incoming VP meanwhile said they will set a meeting with outgoing VP Leni Robredo for the transition.
So we are set to release a letter today or tomorrow addressed to Vice President Leni Robredo and signed by me requesting for an initial meeting.
For her part, Arroyo welcomed the result of the election and the smooth proclamation on Wednesday. Arroyo, who is Chairman Emeritus of Lakas CMD, gave assurance that she'll support the legislative agenda of President-elect Bongbong Marcos.
We're very happy they both got a lot of votes, the first majority since the multi-party system, so it's a very strong mandate and they deserve all our support.
Meanwhile, Mayor Sara said she plans on carrying her program Magnegosyo Taday once she starts her term as Vice President. As incoming Education Secretary, she will also meet with the outgoing DepEd team to discuss ways to strengthen basic education in the Philippines. Duterte has yet to disclose her inauguration plans aside from the target date, which is June 19. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. The COMELEC Employees Union is backing the confirmation of Saidamen Pangarungan as the chairman of the poll body. The union cited Pangarungan's capable leadership in organizing this year's national and local elections. The Commission on Appointments is set to deliberate on the ad interim appointments of Pangarungan as well as other COMELEC officials. The Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, or RITM, has been designated as the main isolation facility for suspected and confirmed cases of monkeypox. The DOH will also assign other regional isolation facilities and hospitals that will cater to cases of monkeypox. queen of Philippine movies, Susan Roses, has been laid to rest at the Manila North Cemetery this afternoon. Her remains were interred next to that of her late husband, Fernando Poe Jr. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Liao. We are One News.